Well, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Reading Michael Jackson. I am your host, Lena, and I'm so happy to be back here with you again today to record our 40th episode. I mean, for me, this is a celebration. It's such a milestone, and I know I say this some version of a milestone every single episode, it feels like, but really it feels like a milestone to me. We are getting so close to the end of this book, and to reach episode 40, I am just really excited. So I'm looking forward to this piece and talking about it with you today. So I've had a lot of extra commentary the last few weeks, so I'm actually just going to get us started right away into this week's episode. And for this week, we have another poem that I think will have a lot to talk about. So I invite you to relax, get comfortable, get cozy, and join me for this reading of Are You Listening? Are you listening? Who am I? Who are you? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What's it all about? Do you have the answers? Immortality's my game. From bliss I came. In bliss I am sustained. To bliss I return. If you don't know it now, it's a shame. Are you listening? This body of mine is a flux of energy. In the river of time, eons pass, ages come and go. I appear and disappear, playing hide and seek in the twinkling of an eye. I am the particle, I am the wave, whirling at lightning speed. I am the fluctuation that takes the lead. I am the prince, I am the knave, I am the doing that is the deed. I am the galaxy, the void of space. In the Milky Way, I am the craze. I am the thinker, the thinking, the thought. I am the seeker, the seeking, the sought. I am the dewdrop, the sunshine, the storm. I am the phenomenon, the field, the form. I am the desert, the ocean, the sky. I am the primeval self in you and I. Pure unbound consciousness, truth, existence, bliss am I. In infinite expressions I come and go, playing hide and seek. In the twinkling of an eye, but immortality's my game. Eons pass deep inside, I remain ever the same. From bliss I came, in bliss I am sustained. Join me in my dance, please join me now. If you forget yourself, you'll never know how. This game is played in the ocean bed of eternity. Stop this agony of wishing. Play it out. Don't think. Don't hesitate. Curving back within yourself. Just create. Just create. Immortality's my game. From bliss I came. In bliss I'm sustained. To bliss I return. If you don't know it now, it's a shame. Are you listening? Well, this was an interesting piece, wasn't it? Like a few of the other poems in this book, part of me suspects perhaps this was actually a set of lyrics. I say that because in this particular piece, there are multiple points of repetition. Now, to be clear, that is, of course, something common in poetry, right? It doesn't need to be lyrics for that repetition to be a very valid and common technique in writing. But something about how the repetition happens, it felt to me like this could be lyrics, and I'm so curious. When we read these pieces from Michael that feel highly spiritual, highly almost metaphysical, I can't help but wonder, what kind of writing did he do in music that explored some of these topics? We have, of course, huge explorations of these topics in this book, but not quite as many in his actual lyrical discography. So I do wonder about that. Nevertheless, let's talk about this piece. I mean, this piece is interesting to me. We open with a number of questions, and then we get this I, or first person narrator, that we're following throughout. So we could ask ourselves, okay, is this Michael as a narrator? Or is Michael embodying another person or source of power or whatever? I would say, in my estimation of the entire piece, my guess would be, well, I was about to just firmly say, I think it's about embodying a kind of God figure or writing from the perspective of God. But as soon as I said that, I thought, well, maybe not. Maybe this is Michael in his state of near enlightenment, or in a place of really feeling a sense of security with his view of life and his answers to these questions. Maybe this is Michael standing firm in that. We'll see. I would like to work through this piece, as I often do, commenting on the different pieces and what they're saying and what we can ultimately take away from this at the end. Because sometimes, I will tell you, my own takeaway sort of evolves through the process of my active and live analysis while I'm recording. So I don't usually know how I feel until the end. So we'll see. But this is a piece that's asking a question. Are you listening? Now that's interesting. It asks a lot of questions. Let's hold on to the question, are you listening? And see if we can return to that by the end of the episode and see how that relates to the overall content of the episode when we finally get through this piece again. But for now, let's get into our re-examination of this piece. Okay, so we return to the opening lines here. And the opening lines are not only a series of questions, they are the thoughts I have most often lying awake at night. Who am I? Who are you? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What's it all about? And do you have the answers? No, these are the existential questions, and the ones that I think most people grapple with throughout their life at different times, if not every day like I do. And it actually kind of was funny to read these to me because, as many of you may know and remember, I am a teacher, and I'm actually not teaching at the moment, but I've been teaching for the last several years, and I will often bring in topics to classes related to like the existential crisis of being human. And so I'll ask my students questions like this, and seeing their heads spin and their faces become stressed out is always really kind of amusing to me. But I personally love these questions, and I like that he opens with them. I'm trying to imagine this as a song, but it's tough, I'll be honest. I think it's kind of funny that even at this point in the read of Dancing the Dream, I know how much Michael thinks about his own existence and about the meaning of life and all of that. Yet it's still kind of amazing to me that he was also someone struggling with these questions just like the rest of us are, you know? Of course he was, but it's still, I don't know, I guess it's such an equalizer. Being human and the human questions about existence are really the ultimate equalizer, right? Like there's no one who doesn't wonder about these things and doesn't question these things, at least at some point in their life. But I would think most people do in a somewhat ongoing basis. Anyway, we open with these questions. Are you listening? And here's a million questions to consider. And then he says, immortality's my game. From bliss I came, in bliss I am sustained. So we'll stop there for a moment. The question about who is this narrator? Is it Michael? Is it Michael speaking on behalf of God or some sort of source of power? The question on some level could be answered in that first narrative statement. Immortality's my game. Well, Michael wasn't immortal. None of us are, right? So we could read that as this is not about Michael. Michael is embodying someone else, a God figure. But is that true? I'm not sure. Because Michael is not talking about the human form of Michael Jackson necessarily. He may not be talking about a human form of anyone at all, but rather a spiritual form. And if you believe, as I think Michael seems to, at least a lot of these pieces might allude to, if you believe that your spirit goes on to exist, if you believe that death is not the end, then you might be able to call yourself immortal and actually mean it, right? So the immortality alone is not enough for us to say for sure who this narrator actually is. From bliss I came, from bliss I am sustained. I love the word bliss here because I think of bliss as a synonym for happiness, but bliss is also a kind of synonym for just total and complete warmth and love washing over you. So if you come from that and you return to that, then this whole human thing is really just a little break. That's the way I read that. I stopped too short though, because perhaps the most interesting line is, in bliss I am sustained, and to bliss I return. If you don't know now, it's a shame. Are you listening? So this is interesting because we get our first question. Are you listening? If you don't know by now, it's a shame. Are you listening? So the implication here in only our second verse, after this list of 5 seriously difficult questions, are you even listening? If you don't know, what have you been doing? Michael, don't have that attitude with us. We're only human. No, honestly, I think it's a little bit funny, but I also understand. I think early on here in this piece, let's list off the 5 most human questions we can ask, and this assurance that the answer exists. And are you listening would imply that if we listen hard enough, we'll be able to hear the answers too. So it's an interesting way to start off a piece like this, which is so existential in nature. Let's not question it. Let's give all the reasons why it does exist, and we can get these answers if we pay attention. I like that the whole concept of bliss sustaining, but also bliss is the place to return to. And it's sort of mirrored in this next verse. He says, this body of mine is a flux of energy. In the river of time, eons pass, ages come and go. And then he says, I appear and disappear, playing hide and seek in the twinkling of an eye. I don't know. Listen, I got chills. Can I explain why without, I don't know, I'm not sure. I got chills because let's just for now pretend we know. If we continue thinking about this, like this is Michael, and he's talking about his own kind of transcendence spiritually, where he knows these answers and he feels confident and he's coming and going because of, that's what it is. Spiritually, we come and go from the human form and the human existence. It is exciting, and I don't know, I got chills. This whole I appear and disappear, I play hide and seek. Like this spirit of whoever Michael Jackson was will come and go, and will be here sometimes and not here sometimes, and be a part of human existence sometimes and other times not. Almost like a playing hide and seek, like you can catch him, but only once in a while, not all the time. And the same, I think, could be said for us. I think that's the point of you don't know now, it's a shame. Are you listening? This whole premise of, hey, this is the truth for all of us. I'm these things, but so are you. Are you paying attention? Because if you were, you would know that. Again, I keep coming back to that, but I don't think it's necessarily meant in that way. It's just kind of this reminder, Now, obviously, I said that is running with this idea that it's about Michael's spirit and his sort of spiritual evolution, and that's what he is speaking to. But this could still be an embodiment of God. It just depends on what you believe when it comes to God. All of it really does, right? It comes down to what you really believe in when it comes to spirituality and the passage of time and how and why we end up here. Michael makes it sound playful and makes it sound like it's our choice to come when we do to this world, and that it's our choice in a way to leave when we do. I find something kind of comforting about that. I find this whole philosophy comforting, but let's continue. I am the particle, I am the wave whirling at light speed. I am the fluctuation that takes the lead. I am the prince, I am the knave, I am the doing that is the deed. I am the galaxy, the void, the space. In the Milky Way, I am the craze. In the Milky Way, I am the craze is interesting, right? It almost sounds popular. Like he's popular in the Milky Way. I'm in a silly mood, I guess. This is interesting because he's kind of listing all of these different things that he embodies, in which he is present, in which he is everywhere. And it kind of aligns with other pieces he's written about God's presence everywhere, God's consistency of showing up. The more I talk about this, the more I wonder, is there any reason why this could not be simultaneously about both God and about Michael's spirit himself? And let me clarify, I'm not equating Michael to God. What I'm saying is, in some of the pieces that are in this book, we get a sense that part of Michael's guiding philosophy is that God is in everything and in everyone. He talks about a kind of oneness. This is very consistent, especially with Eastern philosophy and Eastern religions. This kind of oneness of humanity and all of existence, of all of the life in this realm being spiritually interlaced. He also talks about God being ever present, the gods within us, or God being a part of us. He talks about our inner angels, our light, our spirits, our souls. There's this consistent messaging throughout the entire book. And so I wonder, would it be wrong to equate our own spiritual evolutions with a kind of God if we're looking at trying to identify the narrator of this poem? Because remember, Michael writing I does not mean it's Michael Jackson as a human being saying I am these things. Him writing I is either him taking on the identity of a character that he's creating, or it could also be him speaking from a different part of himself. The other day, I was grappling with making a decision about something, and it was something very unimportant, so don't take this too much to heart. But I kind of joked to my husband, well, my human self wants that, but my higher self knows better. I think that there is something to be said for recognizing our human self can operate differently than our higher self or our more spiritual self. So I do think it's possible that the narrator is quote unquote Michael Jackson, but is maybe Michael's inner spirit and self, not so much the Michael Jackson, the performer that we know and love, Either way, I think we might want to consider what we are comfortable with. And I'm saying we, as you are a listener, you can decide for yourself, are comfortable with when it comes to, can we be talking about both God and a person, or God and a human spirit at the same time, interchangeably? And I'm not sure, but I'm probably going to keep doing that. Not only because it makes things a little easier, but because on some level, that is how I understand this piece. In this piece, I believe it is interchangeable. And I think there's reasons to believe that, and I think there's benefits to exploring it in those ways. He goes on, I am the thinker, the thinking, the thought. And my first thought was, I think, therefore I am. Who was it? I think it was Descartes, Rene Descartes, is that it? Philosophy? I think, therefore I am, this whole concept of like our existence is measured through our thoughts. I thought of that, and I know that that's not necessarily what is being said here, but if you are all things, if you are the ego of the thinker, the actual process of the thinking, and the end result of the thought, you're all things. And that is kind of cementing an existence, really. I am the seeker, the seeking, the sought. I am the dewdrop, the sunshine, the storm. All of these lines made me actually think of one of the first, if not the first piece from the entire book. Let me look at that really quickly. Yeah, I was right. And the first piece in this book is called Dancing the Dream. And in that he says, I become the lover and the beloved. I become the victor and the vanquished. I become the master and the slave. I become the singer and the song. I become the knower and the known. And he ultimately says, the creator and the creation merge into one wholeness of joy. So in a way, this kind of reference point back to that first piece and what he's saying there really aligns with what we were saying a couple minutes ago about the wholeness or the oneness of everything. So when he goes through these different points, I am the thinker and the thinking and the thought. I am the desert, the ocean, the sky. It's like all things at once. And if you believe philosophically or spiritually that we are all from one energy source, or if you buy into that just for the sake of this piece, then this all makes that much more sense. And it's that much more comfortable to think that this isn't just Michael asserting himself as this kind of elevated spiritual being above the rest of us normal people, but rather that he is inviting us to hear him and understand him and look to the obvious around us so that we know. Because as he said, it's a shame if we don't know this yet. Are we listening? Then he goes down and he repeats a bit more. In infinite expressions I come and go, playing hide and seek in the twinkling of an eye. Playing hide and seek in the twinkling of an eye. I'm starting to think about that differently now. That in the twinkling of an eye feels important. So here's what I'm thinking. What if when he says that, he means in the twinkling of an eye, when we look at those people around us, you see a flicker of God in them, but we can't always see it. So this God or this source energy or universal blissful love energy, whatever that is, however we want to think about this, we see glimpses of it in our life. And it feels like it's playing hide and seek because it's not always accessible to us. But it is always around, and it comes and goes, but it is always around. It continues to exist no matter what. So in that way, I think that this idea of this being a more prominent God narrator is also really interesting. So we really have a few different ways of reading this piece and gaining something from that. It also makes me think, okay, this whole idea of are you listening is a stand-in not just for are you hearing me, but are you paying attention? Because if you can see him in the twinkle of an eye, in the passing flicker of godliness in someone, then if you can see that, then you can start to see it everywhere. I don't know, that's how I'm kind of interpreting that. And then he repeats, eons pass, deep inside I remain. And that makes me wonder, is he talking about the ebb and flow of when God shows himself? Or is he talking about the ebb and flow of his personal spirit self coming to play on earth, so to speak, coming to play in being a human form? I like both interpretations, honestly, but I really like this idea about Michael because it does speak to a kind of immortality. And as we miss him, and as we also think about not just him, but those people we love and those spirits and souls of those we care about in our lives, and we miss them and we long for them sometimes. This idea that they can come and go in and out of the bliss, and they play hide and seek and they reappear, and sometimes they lay low for eons and other times they don't. Like, there's something kind of exciting and beautiful about that, because it really makes it so that there's not any true death. There maybe is a death in human form, but maybe not any kind of spiritual death. And so we go on and we go on. And this time of being human is its own gentle whisper, you know? He says, join me in my dance. Please join me now. If you forget yourself, you'll never know how. This game is played in the ocean bed of eternity. So how I read this is this whole, if you forget, you'll never know. He's saying, please come join me now before it's too late, basically. And if you forget, you won't know. To me, this strikes me as this is what it is to be aware and awake when it comes to the answers to those 5 questions. Who are we? Who am I? Who are you? Where did we come from? When it comes to those questions, we can be awake to the answer, but we can easily forget too. We can easily fall back into our regular human form, our regular life. But to be truly aware is to understand the game that's being played, the game of hide and seek, the game of appearing and disappearing, the game of we go on in the ocean bed of eternity. We go on. And so this is a kind of knowledge that humans, we do have access to, but we have to hear it. We have to listen, and we have to join him in the dance, so to speak, in order to really internalize it. He says, stop this agony of wishing, play it out. Don't think, don't hesitate. Curving back in yourself, just create. Again, another point from this book telling us to look inward, telling us to seek within ourselves first. Stop this agony of wishing. Stop wishing, stop putting the power in someone else's hands, and start embracing your own power. That's kind of how I see that line. I like that. Then he ends again with some repetition. Immortality's my game, from the bliss I am sustained. And he ends with again, are you listening? So now I ask you, are you listening? I mean, in all seriousness, I do wonder about how Michael's fans understand these pieces. Like, I, as a person, I'm already very interested in all of this. And I assume for most people listening, if you listen to this, if you read Michael's book and you enjoy this kind of conversation about his words, I assume you're a person with a lot of spiritual curiosity, if nothing else. And so I assume you're open to these kind of conversations. But I do wonder, like, what do we make of this? What do you feel about this in terms of this whole concept of we are all part of this greater source of energy? We come and we go, we ebb and flow, we are everything at once, and we're just our own little spark of it. And this is what it is for all of us, but we aren't aware, and we have to become aware. I just wonder about it. I have recently been reading this book that is super interesting, and it's kind of about all of this. It's called Original Love, The 4 Inns on the Path of Awakening, and it is by Henry Schuckman, or Schuckman maybe, and it's really good. I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's a lot about the power of meditation, and so it's talking about mindfulness a lot and this sort of spiritual return to self that we can have during meditation. But I'm only like 70 pages into it, and it's about 300 pages, so there's a lot left. If you're interested in this type of stuff, though, I recommend it. So I got it from my local library, and it's pretty good. So I do recommend. But yeah, this is an interesting piece. Maybe because I know this season of the show, but also this book is coming to a close, I am looking for Michael to be kind of wrapping things up for us. And maybe that's why it feels that way to me. I don't know. But this piece feels like a kind of reminder again. Hey, like, pay attention. Look around you. Listen. You can join me in this. And I have to say, I really like that. So I really enjoyed this piece a lot. I hope you enjoyed the commentary and conversation around it. And I look forward to continuing these next few episodes. We'll talk about the end of the season as we get closer to it, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how this book continues to come to a close. So thank you again, and thank you, Michael, for your thoughtful words and all these ideas that you give us to discuss. I will talk with you all soon. Until then, I wish you all the best of luck this week. I hope you have a wonderful week and weekend, and we will talk again very soon. Take care.